Impression the game you get out with what you put into it. It's like a walk of life. If you're good enough, go out and get it, no more about it.
But not so much control in the centre of the field from Kilkenny as Richie Bennett sends it high and over the bar.
Your mother sends you down to the shop for a pound's worth of goods and she gives you 50 pence. You can't get the pound's worth of goods, can you?
Just about kept in. Oh, well, Johnny Buckley. To do that to Tommaso Sheahy. He deserves to score from here. One of the highlights of the Sunday game.
Limerick went out there from the word go today. No more about it. They made all the running, that was it. Put the ball over the bar and the back of it, and that's it. No ifs, no buts.
Is there much time left? We have a couple of injuries. Here comes Kieran Carey. Carey leading the charge of the right brigade. 45 metres out. He's a chance to score. He's put it hard.
There's no sympathy in this game for anybody.
Hello, and you're very welcome to another episode of Treaty Talk. Tom Clancy back in the hot seat after an early season break on shores far and wide from here. Matt O'Callaghan, though, of the Weekly Observer and Vale Star newspapers, is with us once again, and we're here to chat, of course, everything GAA in the week that was, and looking ahead to another action-packed weekend around the county and further afield for the Limerick teams and players. Matt, I think as always now we'll commence with hurling. I was in Mullingar last Sunday. Limerick, I suppose, as predicted, picked up their second win of the campaign in the Alliance League, but maybe didn't have it as easy as many would have predicted. Westmeath proving a little bit of a stumbling block, but nevertheless another experimental team for Limerick picking up the 2 points.
Yeah, I suppose that's all you can do is play what's put in front of you. But just to put it a small bit into context, a huge win that Limerick had over Antrim the previous week. And while all that was going on, Westmeath were losing to Galway by 31 points. So you see the difference that a week made, that Antrim were just beaten by a point by Dublin in the second round. And we had Westmeath, putting it up to Limerick, albeit maybe for 50 odd minutes, maybe 55 minutes, and then Limerick pulling away as expected. But a plucky performance by Westmeath, and John Kiley shuffled the pack again, of course, and a lot of it was informed by the fact that he had a number of players that were involved in the concluding stages of the Fitzgibbon Cup, and I know we'll be talking about that in a minute, but it was hotting up at that stage, so he tried out some new formats, but there was one consistent, Tom, between the two games, and that was the performance of Donegal O'Donnell. Like the player, he has scored a goal and 11 points, all from playing the two games. Like it's a phenomenal return, and he really is hot and putting up. Certainly at this early stage of the league is definitely putting up his hand that he's going to be around in the championship. So it's great for the fella. And but it was a question, I suppose, of getting the job done. And Limerick did just that. So it's rolled on out to Dublin on Saturday week.
Yeah, just to pick up on a couple of points from the game. You mentioned O'Donnell. I thought his goal was superb. It was a superb finish. There's a great photo, I think it was Sportsfile, of he's basically down on one knee and the ball is nestling in the roof of the net. It was a powerful strike. But in fairness to O'Donnell, he has shown his ability to win his own ball. He's out in front more often than not, but when he's not, he makes it very difficult. And that's in the mould of a Peter Casey and Aaron Gillan, Seamus Flanagan, which is obviously the guys that he, ultimately one of them he has to try and dislodge from the championship team, as it were. But he's showing all the hallmarks of a forward that certainly has grown in the Limerick jersey. And if I can kind of paraphrase John Kiley afterwards, I asked him about Darragh Langan, who made his debut, a clubmate of O'Donnell, and he mentioned that it's a marathon, not a sprint, of course, for these new players, young players. And he mentioned that Darragh Langan is merely on the first mile of the marathon, whereas O'Donnell is more on, I think he said mile 9. He's at a water station, and he's he's kind of, he's learned. He's 12 months, I should say, into the program at Limerick. So he's probably showing the signs of someone who has gained a fair amount of experience even in 12 months at Limerick, and you can see that in his play.
You can, and he has pace as well, which is hugely important. And he has a good suite of skills when it comes to ball control, ball lifting, and all the sort of things that you look for in a player. Plus, he has the pace, he has the ability to beat a player, and he has above all, Tom, he has an eye for goal.
Yeah,
and 12 scores in 2 league matches at Alliance Hurling League Division 1. You can't argue with it. Disregard for a moment what the opposition was, Antrim and Westmeath, but I thought it was a phenomenal return from the Monaleen man. But I think last year, Tom, on the occasions that we saw Donegal, I thought we saw snippets of that kind of form that we're seeing now. And we certainly saw in the championship when he was proving to be a handful for a lot of defences in the championship. But it's great to see somebody like him coming through, and he's definitely putting pressure. He has his hand up very firmly, and he's refusing to take it down for a place come the championship. And he's going to keep fellas on their toes. And this is exactly what John Kiley wants. This is exactly what Limerick want. This is what a successful team wants, Tom.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the final point maybe on that, and we're not getting away from it or ahead of ourselves on O'Donnell, but we have seen, I think Micheál Houlihan was one who did quite well in a lot of league games last year, but between injuries maybe and other selection choices just didn't cut the gravy. So, it comes with the caution that it is the league and maybe there's a different weighting put on it from the manager. But O'Donnell, as we say, can only do what he can do in the league games. That's his opportunity. That's his shop window. And he's certainly making a mark. Matt, finally on the Limerick Hurlers, I think for this week anyway, we'll talk about it next week. But going to Croke Park, a ground that Limerick haven't lost at since 2019. Now I know it's a league game against Dublin, but nevertheless a chance to run out in the hallowed turf of Croke Park. I'm sure will be welcomed by players and management, particularly those who maybe haven't featured too often in the business end of things for Limerick. A good opportunity to, I suppose, size up headquarters at this early part of the year.
It is, Croke Park has gone from being Limerick's graveyard to being Limerick's holy grail. I remember for years, and you take right up from 1973 till 1920 or to 2018. It was a graveyard for so many Limerick hopes at different levels even. But that has all changed in 2018. And Limerick really, if you look back at the All-Ireland successes, Limerick have kept their best form for Croke Park. They've been invincible in Croke Park since 2018, apart from that blip in 2019 when they lost to Kilkenny. But they will relish the chance of playing in Croke Park, and some of the French players that I have no doubt will be played. Although we'll probably see a couple of more of the first team being filtered back into the team for the game against Dublin. But they'll really be looking forward to Saturday week, and I know we'll be discussing it in greater length next week. But it's particularly the French players, they get a chance maybe to start in Croke Park and maybe play a full 70 minutes in Croke Park.
Yeah,
it's going to be a big occasion, Tom, because it forms a double header with the repeat of last year's All-Ireland final in football, in the league clash of Kerry and Dublin. So there's going to be a huge crowd in there. Now Limerick is forming the result at 5:15, but you can imagine that right from the get-go on Saturday week, that the atmosphere will be building in Croke Park, and it will be a real test for the younger players. It will be the nearest thing you'll get to a championship match in terms of atmosphere anyway.
Yeah, certainly, and hopefully the Limerick support continue to travel as they did so far towards Thurles for the opener, and then obviously in Mullingar last Sunday. Matt, you mentioned younger players there. I mentioned one of them a minute ago, Dara Langan. He is among the Limerick under-20 panel that was named earlier this week. They don't get into competitive action for some time. Well, I suppose it's probably a blink of an eye in one regard, but it's the 5th of April when they travel to 6 Mile Bridge. But Evan Loftus has named what I would say a very exciting young team. In terms of it's not just all under 20s. There's guys who are just out of minor. There's under 18s, under 19s, under 20s. So plenty of talent here, and I think we'll be looking forward to this Munster under 20 championship when April rolls around.
Yeah, he's himself and his management team. They have named a strong squad. Like, and if you see the number of people that I think there's up to about 6 or 7 that either were or are in the Limerick panel at the moment, at the Limerick senior panel, and some of them will have got opportunities now. Tomas Lynch and Donald Coughlin are 2 of those. They haven't got opportunities because of the farcical situation that we had with that Munster Senior Hurling League being called off 3 times. But you have other players there like Joe Fitzgerald, Dara Langan are in there, Shane O'Brien is in there, that have all experience. Dave Fitzgerald is in there, that all have senior experience, and that's going to form a core for Evan Loftus to build his team around. And you're right, some of the exciting minors of last year are also coming through. So Evan Loftus seems to have got a very good balance in his side. Fintan Fitzgerald is another player that's on that squad. Now, there are also 6 or 7 of them that were survivors from last year. Guys like Oisin Farrell, Fintan Fitzgerald, and so on that were involved last year. So those players with senior experience and those players that have been round the circuit before at under 20 level, it all adds up to a pretty formidable team now, and I certainly will be looking forward to see him in the Munster Championship. And no, it's anytime you're penciled in to go to Clare these days is a tough assignment from the start. But like getting off to a winning start in Clare will be hugely important, and you take it from there. But I think that we have an exciting squad, and an exciting squad that gives us cause to look forward to the Munster Under-20 Hurling Championship.
Yeah, and just to remind folks that the format is quite the same as last year. The 5 teams in Munster that are participating, obviously Kerry not included, Clare, Limerick, Waterford, Cork and Tipperary will play 4 group games. The winner of the group will go straight to the final and second will play third. So it's just about getting in that top 3 and taking your chances from there. But Limerick will commence with the meeting against Clare, as I said, on the 5th of April. And just one final point, you mentioned so many names in that panel. You forget, Matt, that Shane O'Brien is still under 20. It seems like we've been watching him for years.
I mentioned him as being one of the ones with senior experience, and he's absolutely going to be a huge player. And Cian Scully has been named as captain of the squad, and it's great to see Cian back in full health after the injuries that disrupted his season last season, when he could only come on in the county finals, beloved Drummond at Lacka, and just as a late sub with about 15 minutes to go. That was as much a part as he played in the championship last year. So it's great to see him going back and raring to go. And with Shane Fitzgibbon in there from Drummond at Lacka as well, who's one of the key players in Skull Pole's recent Munster victory. And of course, we know that Fintan Fitzgerald is involved with joint captain of Ardskull Reach. And just as we're on Ardskull Reach, I suppose, Tom, if you indulge me, they're playing in the All Ireland series this year or this weekend. I think you have the fixture there in front of you, but if you want to call it out, I think.
Yeah, so Sunday, it's actually Sunday afternoon. They're playing in St. Joseph Door Airfield's home ground in Clare against Presentation Athenry, currently with a 2 p.m. throw-in. Although I would, if I was you, anyone that is interested in going to that, I'd keep an eye because of the state of the pitch in Door Airfield after the Fitzgibbon game the other day. There's a potential for it to be moved, but hopefully it will have recovered in time. But that's the Croke Cup quarter-final. And Matt, if there was maybe a silver lining
I honestly think if I could just enlarge on it a small bit, I think that, the disappointment of losing the Hartley Cup final, and above all the circumstances in which they lost, it will certainly fire Ardskull Reach. And we saw in 2022 when they lost the Hartley Cup final dramatically to St. Joseph's of Tulla, that they bounced back and won the first ever Croke Cup. I think there's a real opportunity for history to repeat itself in that one. And I would be expecting them to get over Presentation at Athenry and then wait and see what the semi-final will throw up.
Yeah, well, the semi-final pairings are already known, so if they do win, they'll be playing the Leinster champions, which I believe to be the famous St. Kieran's College. So it doesn't get any easier, but nevertheless, I'm sure Liam Cronin will have put the task down to his charges, and hopefully they can bounce back after that heartbreaking defeat in Ennis a couple of weeks ago. Matt, just to kind of keep it back on the inter-county scene, I mentioned the 20 squad, and hopefully it'll be an exciting year for them. But the under-17, i.e. the minor squad, Shane Dowling is obviously the marquee man in charge of that team, his first foray, I suppose, into inter-county management. He has an exciting panel, and I say that because there's a number of last year's squad which I think there was a lot to like about them, and I think this group has previously won the Arabon Cup as well in Tipperary, which is normally a good yardstick for a decent enough minor team. So a good chance for Shane Dowling to cut his teeth with a good squad for the Limerick Minors of the year ahead.
Yeah, and he has a number of players, of course, that on that squad that were available to last year. So a bit of continuity is very, very important. Now, he doesn't have a lot of it from the starting team of last year. He has Joe Fitzgerald in goals and Jack Cosgrave at wing back. Now, he has 3 or 4 subs that featured as substitutes last year, who are available this year, and these will be very, very important. A player carrying over that kind of experience is very, very important, particularly at minor level. So, I think if you factor in the Arabon, there are 3 or 4 players from Skull-Pole, Kilfinnan in it. You've got a lot of players there now that between, we'll say, the colleges now and the Arabon, you've got a lot of players with a winning mentality, which is a very, very, very good start. And as I say, you have that little core. Jack Fitzgerald of Bruff is another man now that is there from last year, was involved in the squad. And they are very, very important for the continuity. I think there's about 6 of them there altogether. I'm excited about Shane Dowling's squad, and excited to delighted to see Shane taking it on, and wishing him the very best of luck. And I'll expect him to do a very good job.
Yeah, and the minors slightly later in action than the under-20s, because they're not. They're the odd team out in round 1, so they get into the Electric Ireland Munster GAA Hurling Minor Championship. They're in action in Super Value Park Equive on the 11th of April. So they will again play every other team in the province. But there's one difference this year, Matt. I think it's a straight final, so they have to be in the top 2. So they'll be looking to hit the ground running. Have to hit the ground running. There's no second chance for coming third. So I suppose they'll have to get the ground running and hopefully pick up a couple of points against Cork on the road and go from there. But that's it on, I suppose, the inter-county side of it. Matt, we've definitely touched on it already. But that's it on the inter-county front. But the Fitzgibbon Cup is front and centre, I think, this week anyway. It's a competition that I've been very, very fond of over the last decade or so, and particularly last year, getting out and about to a lot of games. The final takes place, Matt, in Abbeydorney in North Kerry on Saturday afternoon, and it will be between two Limerick institutions, Mary Immaculate College and the University of Limerick, both of them enjoying victories on Wednesday night. It promises to be a fairly exciting game, not to mind the fact that there's the heavy low overlap of Limerick involvement. There's obviously overlap between Clare and Tipperary on both sides, and plenty of guys that know each other through from different codes, different grades, and all the rest of it. So exciting final in prospect, I think, on Saturday afternoon.
A very exciting final, and great for Limerick colleges. And I suppose, Tom, in fairness, and I think we spoke about it maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, that perhaps there was an inevitability after the first round that this pairing might emerge, because when we were looking at the group stages and who were likely to come through and the follow-up of the quarter final, because it was basically nearly preordained that right up at least to the semi-final stage, that if they avoided each other in the penultimate round, that they would probably meet in the final. Because I suppose, in fairness, they have been the two standout teams in the competition. And obviously, it's UL. They're seeking a historic third in a row, which is a huge thing to do. Very, very difficult to do in any competition. But they have been very, very impressive throughout the campaign, and I suppose none more so than in the semi-final when they dug it out against University of Galway, who had beaten them in the league final. So, like, they were going there with a mission, and with a very, very, very strong Limerick representation right with the team. I think there's Limerick representation in every line in the field, including Conor Hanley, Clare. I think there can be as many as 6-7 Limerick starters in that team, which in itself is very, very good for the county, and it mirrors in many ways what was happening on the third level colleges front when this Limerick team was emerging. This current Limerick senior hurling team was emerging. Now we've good Limerick representation also on the Mary Immaculate side, particularly Shane O'Brien. One of the breakthrough stars in recently of Limerick hurling, and who we spoke about a while ago, who will be involved in the under-21s. Jason Gillan is also there, but they have 3 huge Clare players on that team. 3 huge players that have very, very little to prove to anybody. I'm talking about Adam Hogan, Dermot Ryan, and Shane Meehan. So, like, the 2 teams are huge, very, very, very strong. Like, it's going to be a battle of wits on the sideline between Brian Ryan and Jamie Wall. I think this one is going to go right down to the wire. It's on Teenagy, I think, Tom.
It is, yeah.
For everybody to see it around 3:30, is it?
No, 2:45 throw-in, yeah. So
2:45. Well, 2:30, I suppose coach will start. But
yeah, exactly.
This is a game not to be missed, Tom. I think, and if you want to see a real good quality hurling game between 2 really good quality sides, I think this is it.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. I've been at plenty of games. I think I've been at 3 UL games and is it 2 Mary I games so far. And you mentioned the Clareman there now. This obviously is a Limerick angled podcast, but I tell you, you'll be doing well to find 3 better players at this level than Dermot Ryan, Adam Hogan, and Shane Meehan. 3 serious operators, and flanked by some good talent too. Obviously, Jason Gillan in the goal has scored. He's also scored a couple of points from play, so that'll tell you the length of his puck as well. And there's been some obviously Limerick involvement from the bench for Mary I as well. Is it Vince Harrington or sorry, am I mixing up?
Vincent Harrington, yeah.
Vince Harrington of the Piersig. We've had Oisin Farrell of Skeeton, and there was another man. His name is escaping me here, from Cappamore, has come on as well.
Sean Whelan.
Sean Whelan, sorry, apologies to Sean. Yeah, I just his name slipped my mind there, but yeah. So healthy Limerick involvement, and obviously the UL side. Yeah, you mentioned some of theirs involvement. Colin Coughlin, superb again the other night. He's the vice captain of UL. They obviously have Grode O'Connor of Tipperary. and their Mark Rogers is their captain. So I mean, like, it's the who's who of the up and coming stars of, I think, Munster GAA really across the place. In fairness, so this game I don't think should be ignored by anyone if they're
it's a stellar cast, Tom. It's a stellar cast on both sides.
Yeah. If I was to ask you to call,
I've seen the Fitzgibbon over the years, and this is as good a quality in terms of the cast for this final is as good as I can remember.
Yeah,
on both sides.
Yeah, and I think sometimes with the Fitzgibbon, and maybe sometimes it happens at minor under 20 level, is the teams are only acknowledged with how good they are maybe a few years after the fact. If we fast forward 5 years, the guys in these two teams could be considered, some of the best players in their county. Now, not to say they're not already far behind it, but when these guys' careers progress, we might just remember how good they were at Fitzgibbon level. But Matt, if I was to ask you to call it, who do you think will be picking up that famous piece of silverware tomorrow afternoon, Saturday afternoon?
Tom, you'd be more qualified than me, having seen him, But I think on balance, that it is a really, really exciting and quality UL team.
Yeah.
3 in a row is a huge goal, a huge prize, and I think they'll just about make it.
Yeah, I'd be plumbing pretty well, probably by a point or two. They did it in dramatic circumstances the other day, and I think in the last 2.5, nearly 3 seasons, they've found their way into tight games that have presented themselves. So perhaps that would be the difference. But I tell you, you'll be writing this Mary I team off with your pearl. So that's an exciting one to come on Saturday afternoon. Another game, Matt, that was played on a Saturday afternoon last week was the Junior B Munster final, and it was heartbreak, and I used that in the most dramatic circumstances. Real heartbreak from O'Neill, who fell to Drummond-Inch, and I could scarcely believe what I was seeing when I watched the footage of this one surfacing on the internet. 3 goals in stoppage time from Paul Kennedy, proving the undoing of O'Neill. Have you ever seen the like of it, Matt?
Never seen the like of it. O'Neill, just as the clock ticked up to the hour mark, there were 7 points clear, and they got Paul Kennedy, who scored 3-7 out of their 3-8. He got 2 goals. O'Neill went down on the attack, forced a save at the expense of a 65. Max Ivory, who I thought was fantastic, scored 11 points for O'Neill. He made absolutely no mistake from the 65, and you would say to yourself, gee, this is it. It has to be it. And you were looking at your watch nervously saying, is he going to blow it on the puck out? He didn't. There was one last chance. Ball broke in Paul Kennedy, and he gave Murray Dali no chance. So absolutely heartbreak. But I was saying a while ago about the defeat and the manner of the defeat of Ardscoil Reach may motivate him to greater things. I think, welcome to that club, O'Neill. I think they're in that kind of a space. They're in that kind of a position. They will know themselves, without question, that they overall, over 60-odd minutes, they were the better side. But, being the better side counts for little or nothing if you can win the game. So they will have learned quite a lot. There's a quick turnaround now. They're playing the Leinster champions in Rahena on Saturday at 3 o'clock. And the Leinster champions are Ballinasloe. Now, it's hard to believe it, but it's Ballinasloe's first team, Tom. Because it is football country, and there's a dividing line between hurling and football in Galway, and these would be on the side of the football side. But they actually got a bye into the Leinster final because they were due to play Harps from Laois in the Leinster semi-final and got a walkover. And then they faced Burr from Offaly. Of course, Burr have huge tradition. If you go back to the successful Offaly teams and the Whelan brothers and all that sort of thing, but they've proved far too good for Burr in the Leinster final. So it's Leinster champions against Munster runners up. I was saying to Raf last week, all the narrative last week coming into the Munster final was that it was drum and inch. I quite didn't see it that way. I remember the same thing happening last year with Bruff and Thurles Sarsfields coming out our eyes at that stage, nearly what they were going to do. Bruff won the Munster final. And, with the same thing this year, and Monaleen did everything but win the Munster final. And I'd be more than hopeful, Tom, that they'll get back to winning ways with a win over Ballinasloe and have an All-Ireland final to look forward to tomorrow, 2 weeks.
Yeah, just hope that there's no, significant fallout or anything like that from the defeat. It was, it was just one of those things. I don't think there was blame to be laid at anyone's door. It's just one of those things that in all of our years covering sport, we may never see the like of it again. A player scoring 3-7 out of 3-8, but also a player scoring a hat trick in maybe 2.5, 3 minutes of action. It's just nearly unthinkable, really, isn't it? But it's a lovely statistic: 3 goals and 7 points, 10 scores. Max Ivory got 11. Yeah, and it 11 scores to 14 probably tells Monaleen probably did more of the hurling, and even as you say going into stoppage time.
They will know that they left the Michael Fitzmaurice Cup behind them last Saturday.
Yeah, I think they'll take some confidence from the fact that they were in a very good position after 60 minutes. So they just need to concentrate and see out the job hopefully this weekend. A team who certainly saw the job last again, Matt, in Camogie was the University of Limerick. We're mentioning their male counterparts, but the Ashbourne Cup, the main event really of colleges Camogie, they managed a 6-11 to 112 victory over TU Dublin in the Centre of Excellence in Connacht, the indoor arena. Matt, if there was any lingering doubt as to UL's motivation from after last year's farcical situation that saw them, I suppose, dumped out of the competition, and I wouldn't even call it a technicality, but if there was any question about their motivation, I think they proved it this year. What a score to put up in a final, and obviously a performance to match it. And Limerick connections all over the place in this one. So UL, great winners.
Yeah, fantastic winners. They beat UCC by 2 points, I think, in the semi-final. It was a huge win over the team that actually the holders.
TU Dublin, yeah. Who
in the final, and ironically, there was greater Limerick representation behind the scenes than on the field. Like we had 4 players. Like we had LB Larkin from Mungo St. Paul's was starting. Stephanie Wolfe from Templeton came on, and you had also in the panel you had Cueva Lyons and Monaleen and Anya Tierney from the Piershig. But behind the scenes, they were managed by Declan Nash, and congratulations to Declan on a great performance. But among his backroom team were Sheila Moynihan, Devla Egan, Mum Kramer, Marion Quaid. So some heavy hitters in that backroom team.
I think Marion Quaid was the physio as well. So not to mind that she had.
As I said, Marion Quaid was
the physio, but not to mind that she was probably doubling up, really, wasn't she?
She absolutely. So it was a boost for Limerick Camogie, who will be starting their very national Camogie League on Saturday week when they will be travelling to Kerry. But before we go away from colleges, there was a couple of other Limerick winners in the colleges final. There was the Muelagan Cup final, which UL completed a double. They defeated University of Galway, and on that team was Aisling Ryan of Galway and Cara Davern of Bruff, who is a member of the current Limerick junior squad. And the Aisling Murphy Cup was played for the very first time, and it saw Marina of Dublin defeat Ulster University. And we had Limerick connection there on and off the field, because on the field was Anya Keaveney of Croke Kilfinney and Katie Burke of Killeedy, whilst one of the selectors or one of the mentors was Sean Whelan from Hospital. So there was plenty of Limerick connection in the Camogie finals weekend, and plenty of Limerick success in it as well, which augurs well for the future. And it just leads me in nicely that, as I said, the seniors are starting on Saturday week in the very Camogie League. But this Saturday, tomorrow, Limerick juniors travel to Dublin, and they're playing Dublin in TU Blanchardstown at 2:00 in the first round of the very league. Now, I just looking through the Limerick team. 12 months ago, David Deedy came in with a blank canvas, Tom.
Yeah.
And he assembled a squad that struggled through the league. They were beginning to find their feet. They eventually got a win over Offaly. It set them up for the championship. In the championship, they had wins again over Offaly, a win over Mayo, a loss to Armagh, but it was enough to qualify for the quarter-final, in which they were narrowly beaten by Roscommon. So they were really, really coming together. And when I saw the squad that he named for this current league, I was terribly heartened, Tom, because for the simple reason that he has named a squad of 21, 22 of whom were part of his squad last year. So that will give you an idea that they're gelling together and they're coming together. Plus the fact, which is a plus for me, 3 of the players that he has lost, Sarah Shanahan, Niamh Brennan, and I'm trying to think now. Sarah Cosgrove. The 2 Sarahs, Sarah Shanahan, Sarah Cosgrove, and Niamh Brennan. They have all been promoted to the senior squad, which is the natural progression. There's another 3 or 4 that he would be calling on. They're committed to the leaving certificate for the moment. But the point I'm making, Tom, is from starting with a blank canvas last year, he's starting with a good bit of decent continuity this year, and a bit of a kind of a squad assembled and a group assembled, and that they're sticking at it. And I'd be very, very hopeful, Tom, for a positive result and maybe a good run in the league.
Yeah. 2 p.m. tomorrow against Dublin. It's also Dublin's second team in TU Blanchardstown. But Matt, you mentioned, just to touch on the Camogie from my own side of things, the word continuity. That's what Limerick Camogie will certainly need from top to bottom in their 2 adult teams, in their minor teams. They're going to need continuity of players and personnel, I think, for a couple of years, just to it's been a lean few years, I think, on the inter-county front in many regards. So hopefully there will be continuity of personnel, and things can start to grow, and success hopefully is only around the corner. And Matt, I must just make sure that the record is correct. Éanna McGargle as well of Killowen-Pallaskenry, also involved in the backroom team of UL, a good friend of mine, and I could be shot if I didn't mention him, but in fairness to Éanna, he's been in the backroom for so much of Killowen-Pallaskenry's success in hurling and football. So I think wherever he goes, success isn't too far away. So congratulations to him, and indeed everyone else involved in that.
Yeah, I agree totally with you, and I apologise to Éanna. I knew he was involved, and as you rightly say, he's a man that has made huge contribution, and he's an encyclopedia of information, Tom.
No shortage of it. Yeah. I think people would be pleasantly surprised with how much he knows about the game.
Ultra reliable information as well.
That's it, yeah. And I think
if Éanna says it, you.
That's it. If someone needed someone on the quiz team, I tell you, he'd be the man to fill a slap, particularly if it was on the Gaelic Games topics.
He would.
We will switch codes now, Matt, to Gaelic football, and we're looking at the men's side of the house first. We're looking ahead to Sunday, where Limerick will face Sligo in their Alliance Division 3 round 3 clash at McNeville Park at 2 p.m. start for Jimmy Lee and company. It's been a disappointing start to the year, I think it's fair to say, Matt. Antrim 7 points winners in McNeville Park in round 1, and double-digit defeat up and down in round 2. Have we cause for optimism that Limerick can go better against Sligo and maybe pick up a result?
Well, whether we've cause for optimism or not, it's a kind of a must-win situation at this stage, Tom, because believe it or not, coming up to the halfway stage, and like we haven't won a league game now since 2022. We failed to win a league game in 2023, and we're 2 down already. But I'd be hopeful that on Sunday, because things are beginning to come together. Because I spoke about a blank canvas for David Deedy a while ago, and you had something similar for Jimmy Lee in that of the squad that he inherited. When I'm talking about the squad, I'm talking about the squad that was available for the last championship game that we played last year, which was against Laois. 17 of that squad, for various reasons, are not available. Like between players gone abroad, and I know we have pounded this week in, week out, but it is a reality. And I said 2 weeks ago that there's one thing in scarce supply around Limerick when it comes to football, but a thing that we just have to cultivate, and that is patience, because we're into a rebuilding, a transition and a rebuilding phase of Limerick senior footballers at the moment. If you lose players of the calibre of those that we've lost in the last 12 months, it's a ground up job again, and it's disappointing. I think it was disappointing to lose to Antrim. But Antrim were in a similar situation to what we are in now 12 months ago. And they didn't have a great league campaign. They just got over, they just escaped relegation to Division 4, but had a very, very good run in the Tarleton Cup, which suggests to me that Andy McEntee was beginning to put his stamp on the team, and that should bear fruits this year. And like the defeat to Down, in fairness, I think Down are one of our favourites for promotion. I think there's little or no doubt about that. They were beaten in the Tarleton Cup final, and the trajectory in Down football at the moment at intercounty level is very much on the up. So now Sligo will be a different kettle of fish. The last time we met him, it was a famous day in Markovich Park, when we were crowned Division 4 champions. But that is now water under the bridge, and a lot has happened since. And Sligo will have changed a bit since. And Sligo will be drawing a number of young players, plus they'll be drawing a small bit of inspiration as well, Tom, from the fact that they reached the All-Ireland Under-20 final last year. And they'll be using a number of those players along with some of their more seasoned, experienced players. So Sligo are going to be a very formidable team. But I think it's a winnable game, and it might be just the game that would kickstart Limerick's drive for consolidation and staying in the division. Because I think we've got to be pragmatic, and we've got to be honest, Tom. Staying in the division is Limerick's goal at this stage. And to be absolutely certain of staying in the division, although Limerick previously were relegated with 6 points, when 5 teams finished on the same tally of points, and Limerick were bottom on scoring difference. But I would think that three wins will be necessary to ensure third division football last year. And if you look at the configuration of the fixtures, we now have Sligo at home, Westmeath away, Clare at home, Offaly away. Offaly and Wicklow and Offaly away. So if we're to make home form count, and if we are to embark on the road to survival in Division 3, it starts in McNeville Park on Sunday.
Yeah. I suppose the thing, I'm just looking at the table here off screen. Down and Antrim, who Limerick have already played, have amassed 4 points, as too have Westmeath. But I think below that, then Sligo, Clare, Offaly, and Wicklow. None of those teams will strike ultimate fear into any Limerick team at the moment. Even with Limerick's lack of form in the league, I wouldn't be overly fearful of Sligo, Clare, Offaly and Wicklow. So there is potential to pick up points against those teams. But I suppose you certainly need to do so sooner rather than later. And the home games, which there's just 2 left against Sligo, obviously, as we said, and Clare, they'll be vital towards survival. And I think if you offered Limerick 6th place now, which is obviously the survival line, I think, Matt, they'd bite your hand off and they'd be happy with that.
It would, because Jimmy Lee is introducing a number of new players. He has to, and it's going to take time. It's going to take time for a new management and a certain amount of a new squad to gel together and understand what each are about. So, look, I'd be hopeful, but I suppose Raf usually accuses me of having green missed out. I'm hopeful that Limerick might just kick on Sunday.
Yeah, well, we shall see.
Not
Sligo,
100% confident now, but hopeful.
Yeah, Sligo picked up a win last time out at home against Wicklow, but previously on their trip to Munster were beaten narrowly by Clare. So hopefully there'll be another fruitless visit to them down to this part of the world. Matt, the ladies football, their side, if the men haven't tasted victory, the ladies football haven't tasted defeat. But looking at the table, 2 wins and 2 draws, I don't know, is that something to be optimistic about or to be happy about, or do we think Limerick would have liked to have more points at this point? They're currently occupying 4th spot, which is enough to get into the knockout phases, but potentially they could easily have 4 wins from 4 and be sitting top of the pile.
Yeah, could have 4 wins. I saw the game against Wicklow, could have won that game. That was 2 points last. Saw the game last Sunday against Longford. Probably lucky in the end to get something out of it. It was a couple of points by Kahimi and Kennedy, or Kate Kennedy from St. Elby's. She kicked the equaliser. We pressed at the finish, couldn't find a winner. In terms of the league table, it's disappointing, but we're unbeaten, but 8 points. But there is an unseen pitfall in that. And I say this with the utmost respect to every county. But our points difference against Derry and against Kilkenny could come back to haunt us.
Yeah.
I would be seriously worried about that, because we beat Derry by 8 points. The following week, Leitrim put 8 goals past them.
Yeah.
So that will give you an idea. It's unfortunate that there has to be sides that teams go out to build up their points tally. We didn't do it to Derry or Kilkenny, who are the bottom sides and were the bottom sides last year, like the other teams around us, because it's going to be very, very, very tight, because you have Fermanagh on top, followed by Carlow ahead of Limerick in scoring difference, and you've Longford 3 points behind, and you've Wicklow on 4 points. I think Wicklow have to play both Carlow and have to play both Derry and Kilkenny yet.
Yeah, that should bring them.
You can see the point that I'm making, and Limerick's next game is away to Leitrim. It's followed by a home game with the present leaders for Fermanagh, before finishing with a home game against Carlow.
Yeah.
I honestly think that sorry?
Both those sides are currently unbeaten.
The 2 draws, Tom, the 2 draws are a disappointment, and I would say that the scoring margin against the weaker teams is not adequate. It could prove our undoing.
Yeah. Limerick,
and mindful of the fact that 4 teams qualify for the semi-finals.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, no, obviously Limerick are currently in occupation of one of those places, but they probably don't have an opponent where they can build on their scoring difference, which is plus 18. Carlow's is already plus 27. Leitrim's is plus 47 at this point. Now, obviously, that would only come into play if the teams were tied, but Limerick only managed 42 points in their 4 games, so that's only 10 points a game. And considering they played the 2 weakest sides in it, Derry and Kilkenny, that probably isn't enough. They probably defensively have improved, judging by the scoring concession, but they probably haven't done enough in the attacking end, as you say. So hopefully that won't come back to bite them. But I suppose the easiest way to take care of that, Matt, is to pick up 3 wins in the remaining 3 games, isn't it? I suppose they'll only start worrying about scoring difference.
It's a big task, Tom, and I'm going to surprise you with what I'm going to say my next remark by saying it's doable.
Yeah. Oh, it is. Again, a bit like what I said about Limerick men not fearing some of those teams I listed. I don't think Limerick should fear Fermanagh, Carlow, or indeed Leitrim this Sunday, but they are 3 of the stronger teams in the group. I don't think there's any getting away from that. But
they're the only 3 teams above us, Tom.
Yeah, that's it. So I don't think...
and they are above us for a reason. But what I'd be worried about is what's coming from behind.
Yeah, Wicklow and Wicklow might...
Wicklow and Longford. At this stage, with 3 defeats each, you can discount Derry and Kilkenny.
Yeah, 4 defeats even, yeah. So they're just cannon fodder.
4 defeats each.
They're just cannon fodder.
4 defeats each. They're out.
Yeah, certainly, yeah. But I suppose it just strengthens the thing that the draws aren't as valuable in the ladies' game because it's just 1 point for it, whereas 3 for the win. And obviously in the men's, it's 1 for a draw and 2 for a win. So the draws of less value really, and wins doubly important really in that regard. So Limerick Ladies Football playing this Sunday 2 p.m. in Ballinamore against Leitrim. And they'll be hoping to inflict a second defeat of the campaign on Leitrim and climb right behind Leitrim in the table, heading into the final rounds against Fermanagh and Carlow. Matt, I think that
just for the record, Tom, they played out a very exciting draw in Sean Finn Park last year. It was, what was it? Just trying to think of the score. 4-9 to 118.
Right. Yes. So they can certainly serve up another one like that.
Irish Kennedy came on and got a late 2 goals and 2 points.
Yeah, I think another draw. I don't know would they welcome another draw, but they'll certainly be going up to Leitrim with ambitions of collecting the 3 points and moving, as I say, right behind them in the table. I think that covers us in terms of the Gaelic Games action across the county this week. Another busy one ahead, but hopefully whichever game the public get to this weekend, or indeed if they're on the luxury of their couch, they'll be served up to a thriller. I think the Fitzgibbon for me is the highlight, but I'm sure everyone has their own personal interests this weekend, whether it be the men's football, ladies football, or even Crow Cup action. Plenty across the county for everyone to get their teeth stuck into.
Yeah, and a very, very good variety. And what's also on this weekend is the second semi-final of the Knockadary football tournament, which is being staged this year in Paddy Carroll Park in Ballygran, and it's a Cork Limerick Cork Kerry semi-final. Oliver Plunkett's from Cork, who defeated Aaron's Own in the quarter-final. They're taking on Lisbol from Kerry. Now, Lisbol will be seeking this year to make a little bit of history in the Knockadary Munster Junior B competition. If they can win it, if they're successful, they will become the first team to win it twice. So their motivation, but it'll be their first appearance in the competition, and they're playing Oliver Plunkett's from Cork. Oliver Plunkett's will be very, very familiar with West Limerick because they've had 2 trips already to Killeedy in the hurling, and this is their second trip at least to Ballygran in the football, because they completed a double in Cork, and the prize for the winners is a place against Shannon Rovers from Tipperary in the Munster final.
Brilliant, yeah. Well, that's an offer this weekend as well, out in Ballygran, as Matt says. So hopefully some enthralling action around the county and beyond for the weekend. Matt, thanks again for your time, and we'll be chatting to you during the week and indeed on next week's episode of Treaty Talk.
you, Tom.